Hi everyone, welcome one more time to Ultrax podcast, Football Talks 101. My name is Marko, as you know, and today with us we have a special guest, a friend of mine, a great professional colleague, Aleksa Bošković. Aleksa, hi, and welcome to Ultrax podcast.
Hi Marco, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be part of the project that you started with your team. And hopefully I will share some great information here in this podcast to all the listeners.
Yeah, I know that you will, because if someone follow you on your LinkedIn profile, on Instagram profile, people can see that you are doing an amazing job. But I will just mention how we met each other. It was, I think, before like 7 years, something like that,
Yeah,
maybe even more. In Istra, we were there playing football tennis with coach, remember, with Krunoslav Rendulic. And this is how we met. This is how we started, to talk about different topics. And now Aleksa have a bunch of experience in strength conditioning and sports science, working with different teams. So Aleksa, I will leave this part to you. So can you give us a little bit more about yourself? What is your background? How you started to work as a sports scientist and physical coach?
yeah. So I graduated on the University of Novi Sad under the supervision of Professor Dr. Sergej Ostojic, who was the, let's say, main person that have the biggest influence on me and my path in this job. And definitely for me the genius. He's the genius, and yeah, he was guiding me through the university in the last 2 years of university. After that, I moved. I was working at his lab for I think one and a half year, something like that, doing the serious projects. And by the time I saw myself in a different job, I decided to move to a sport, to work with the players, to work with the coaches on a daily basis. And yeah, started career in Serbia 7 years, 8 years ago. And after that, moved to the China, from China, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Russia, Bulgaria, right now Romania, Uzbekistan was before. Yeah, all over the world.
Everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You were everywhere.
yeah. I was traveling a lot, considering that I'm 30, 31. I traveled a lot during the past 7, 8 years.
Yeah, I remember that because we talked every time you moved to different country. We talk
Yes.
how is now here, how is here. But I think this is an amazing and great experience just to see how different cultures are working. And can you tell us, like, for your experience, what was the difference in this kind of club in this region? What was the difference between coaching styles, players, culture?
Everywhere is different, completely different. So from the culture, mentality of the players, working ethic, from the staff to the players also. I saw like a lot of coaches that are hardworking guys, a lot that are not not hardworking but less working guys. So yeah, I would say it's beautiful, but at the same time, it's really tough because you need to adapt. I didn't went there with the same coach. I was in all these clubs with the different coaches, and you need to adapt to their training methodology, to the way they work, the way they think, and all this stuff. And for me personally, this is the hardest part because there is a lot of different characters, different personalities. So to find the best option for the players, for the club, you always need to find the balance with the coach, with the coaching staff, and all these things. So I would say it's tough. It's not so beautiful as stuff, but yeah, it's nice to see, to travel all over the world, to see different cultures and everything. But yeah, also there are positive, there are negative experiences. I mean, not negative, but less positive than in some countries where I
Yeah.
was, where I felt really good.
Yeah, I can definitely agree that it was challenging. I know in like, I think 2 or 3 clubs, I changed for 3 to 4 coaches, but in one culture, but you changed like every time in the culture and the
Yeah,
coach. So this is a double challenge. And I think this is good that you mentioned because it's connected with our second topic. Well, let's say the first one, uh, about communication and organization in coaching. So every time when you jumped into a different club and culture, you needed to have, well, some kind of communication with that coach and with that players and some organization. And I know that you are good in these things. So how you manage to do this, and what do you think, how much communication and organization as a physical coach is important?
so for me, these kind of things are simple. I'm the guy who is working really a lot and hard, and I mean, I'm not ashamed to say that, like putting myself up, because but the biggest problem is that I expect from the people a lot. So, and this is my mistake. This is my mistake right now. I'm working on that to correct in my head somehow that not everyone is have a working ethic, have like time to spend working from home also, analyzing the things even from home, not only on the job. And unfortunately, this is the life of coach, of guy who is professional, who is working in football. So you cannot just go to the training center, work there a couple of hours, go home and enjoy. I mean, there is always something to fix, there is always something to improve. So for me, the this is one of the biggest problems in our job, that the, at least in my experience until now, I never worked at the top level, like Premier League clubs, where I really believe that people are highly motivated to learn, to improve themselves all the time, to to go forward every single day. So even I catch myself sometimes that I'm like exhausted of always trying to implement something new without being pushed from anyone, just push me a little bit to my back so I can continue forward. This is the biggest part. At the end, you need to understand, if you go to the coaching staff where the coach is strict, he doesn't want to change a lot, he doesn't care a lot about implementing sports science and all this stuff, testing on a weekly basis, not weekly, sometimes, I mean, daily, uh, that has his way, I don't know, 20, 30, doesn't matter, 5 years ago when he won the title or whatever, and he think that this
This
is
is
the
the best
perfect
way. Yeah.
approach, this will win the title again. So at the end, you as a coach, for me, this is the most important thing, let's say, ability to adapt to a different coaches, to a different again, principles, way of work, methodology, and all this stuff. So yeah, pretty much that's the hardest part. That's the
Yeah.
hardest part.
It's hard to stay motivated like 365 days, in a work. I know that sometimes I heard on one podcast or somewhere that physical coaches sometimes get into this autopilot mode, like everything is the same, doing the same thing, doing the same program like before 10 years, autopilot mode. So I really like this name because, yeah, this is something that we sometimes get stuck into it. But when you say that, uh, about this part of communication channels, do you think it's important that in stuff, when you have medical part, physiotherapy part, the football part, strength conditioning part, well, everybody are connected, but do you think that a solid channel of communication and language of this communication is important in football and in team sports?
This is the most important thing for me, because if we don't have a daily meetings, daily discussions, even kind of giving the arguments to each other, not fight, but uh, if I come to you and you are not an ego guy, or vice versa, you come to me and I'm not an ego guy, and we discuss about some specific topic, then we are discussing for the benefits of our players. We are not discussing about other third things, I don't know. But this is for me, this is the most important thing.
Yeah,
Communication in the staff, especially for us as fitness coaches, sports scientists, that we must have a great communication with the medical staff, what we are doing on a daily basis, have everyone check the wellness questionnaires, have everyone check the CK, have I don't know, a lot of different things. So, and you person, I will talk now about myself, like how I get these kind of things. I miss on a daily basis one or two or three things, and it's always good when you have a colleague next
yeah,
to you to remind you, hey, you missed this, hey, check this, pay attention on this, you said to me to remind you about this. So these kind of things are, I mean, I would not say normal, but if you are paying attention on every single detail, then it's, let's say, normal
easier.
to miss some points, some details. And yeah, the communication is definitely number one for me.
Yeah,
And
and
recently it was published, the paper, I think
yeah,
a
I checked
couple of
that.
days ago. What is the importance of good communication between performance and medical staff? So yeah, they just confirm it somehow. I mean, if you are in practice on a daily basis, for sure you can also see that.
Yeah, I don't remember who was the publisher, but yeah, it was like before, I don't know, few days they mentioned that the solid communication was on the second step, I think, in the KPIs. So the first one was availability of the players, the second one the communication between the staff members. So yeah, definitely we can agree that is important. And how do you organize? Let's say we all know that meetings are important, but let's say what was the best uh, option and strategy for you? Like meetings before session, 10 minutes, and we discuss about, I don't know, volume and intensity, or meetings after the session, longer meetings, Friday or Monday. How do you organize
Both,
this channel?
both,
Both,
and
yeah,
before and after the training session. So before the training session, you're discussing if someone have some pain that appeared after the training yesterday or in the morning. There are a lot of situations where the players just awake and say, I started to feel my groin. uh, from when I awake. So the doctor needs to be in communication all the time with the players, or even we as a fitness coaches. But this is medical part, and I like always to. This is your job. I'm not putting my nose into your job, but you as a doctor or as a physio need to know before our meeting if some of the players have any issues, any problems, any pain, any discomfort, so we know how we're going to prepare the training. Also, after the training, if something happens to any of the players, of course you're going to have the meeting, but even if not, just short meetings. If everything was good, if some player came to the medical staff, if they complain to you sometimes about, I don't know, rectus femoris soreness, that he's feeling the rectus femoris heavy, is it dominant, not dominant leg, so you need to take all these things into the consideration for, let's say, next days, upcoming days, knowing that if the player comes to you with feeling the heavy specific points of rectus femoris, then you know to at least you speak tomorrow with the head coach, with the coaching staff, avoid shooting with him with that leg, avoid
yeah.
high accelerations on that day. So just to have it like to prevent what can happen, and that's injury, to something that we don't want to happen.
Yeah, this is something that usually people like to say the bottom up approach. Let's say that you need to check all the daily details that are important, when you are going before the training session. And when you mention, uh, you say to the coach, let's say you give an example, let's move this guy from shooting exercise or maybe passing exercise. How do you communicate this with the coach? How do you tell him this information, and how coaches usually react on this kind of feedback from your
Usually,
experience?
we are going through the drills, through the training session, what I prepared as a physical guidelines, what he's preparing from the football point of view, and we are going through the drills where we can see if the drill is intensive, if it's less intensive, what is the specific position on that drill for the player, if he can be a joker and not be involved in a lot acceleration decelerations, then there is no problem. I mean, always I come to the coach and I ask him, can I go to the player to ask him just to calm down today a bit, to don't have a strong shoot with that leg, just to have it in mind that there is a chance so he can get the injury, just to pay attention. And usually I'm getting the positive feedback from the coach. Go to the player, tell him so he pay attention. If there is something more that I can do, the pre-activation workout in the gym, specific exercises for that area, some release techniques with the physio. So yeah, trying to do everything that we can just to don't have a. I mean, at the end, the most important is the feedback of the player. So if he say, hey, during the training,
Yeah,
hey,
that's it.
this started to increase, then I need to react immediately, talking with the coach, hey, can we somehow put him out of this drill or even until the end of the training? So for me, it's better that my player skip some specific drill or even the full training session than get the injury and he's out for at least 10 days. So there
Yeah,
is no injury less than 10 days to return to play. So otherwise, it's not
yeah,
an injury.
yeah. It's always like a cost benefit analysis when you are checking these things. So maybe it's
Yeah,
better to keep him safe, to have him on a game day, than to do one exercise or maybe that training session. Uh, I think you opened a lot of different questions and topics here. You mentioned strength training, monitoring, but also you mentioned some testing, and we can start with that. So like a first step in the whole process. So when it comes to testing and choosing the right test and the variables, how do you approach to this? What kind of test do you use? When do you use it? How do you check the data? And let's say this guy who had, maybe you are suspecting an injury, what what will be the testing procedure with him or with the whole team?
yeah. I will share to you and to the listeners a bit. I just prepare a couple of pages so I can
Yeah,
also
please, we
present
can
it.
go we can go over the presentation, and you can show us everything. I think this can be a great option.
Yeah, can you see the screen
Yes, yes, all good.
now? Also,
Yeah, now it's full size, so all good.
okay. So usually these are the tests that I use in my work for not from the very beginning because I didn't have the technology to use. Now I have full technology like force plates, dynamometers, force sensors, a lot of devices that are mine, and I'm bringing them always wherever I go with me. So usually I'm starting the preseason with the range of motion testing. In the range of motion testing, I have basically all the joints, ankle mobility, hip internal, external rotations. I will just go for, let me just check. No,
Yeah,
just a
please do.
second. Yeah, so this is an example of the tests that I'm using. Ankle mobility, internal, external range of motion, in a sitting position, Thomas test, modified Thomas test, active leg raise. and overhead squat. So going through the test, just through this range of motion test, in my opinion, at least in now experience, I can see a lot just from these tests. So basically, you can see the posture of the player. You can see uh, how basically how player runs. So what I look a lot is Thomas and modify Thomas test, especially in football players. If the Thomas test is positive or positive a lot when the player is lying. So I'm using Kinovea, a program that is completely free
Yeah,
and
that's a great
available
one.
to everyone. So just for the listeners to know, everyone can use it for free. And for me, it's amazing program. For me, it's really, really good program that you can use for this kind of stuff to analyze the
Yeah,
range of motion of the players. First, you are saving a lot of time. I mean, saving a lot of time to the players, not to you. You need to record everyone. You just explain them. Look, do 2 reps of this, do 2 reps of this, do 2 reps of this. You show them. You give them a tips to what to pay attention on. So I don't know, through the ankle mobility, put the leg in a 90 position, 90-degree position, and just push the knee forward. Try to push it as much as you can slowly until you raise. I mean, I tell them always, go to as much as you can. So you raise the heel from the ground. Then I use the Kinovea. I zoom the heel and I can see exactly the point when he started to leave the hill, and there is the time when I stopped the test, and then I took the
yeah, I understand.
angle of the ankle mobility. Also for the hip rotations, I use this way of test. I mean this kind of tests where I can see exactly when the players start to make the compensation in the hips. In this example here, I mean, this is just an example for the listeners that when he start to make the compensation in the hip on internal or external rotation, immediately I stop I mean, I freeze the video and then I do the measurement. Regarding the Thomas and modified Thomas test, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, for me it's really, really important. Just by having the positive Thomas test, it depends also how much is positive. So how I use this test, measuring this, I took the video. So I'm measuring the distance from the point when he took the opposite leg and then when he pulled to the chest. So how much the leg working, let's call it like active leg, raise up. So then if the working leg, in this case left leg, goes up a lot, I know that his hip flexors are shortened. That can cause the anterior pelvic tilt position and basically a lot of problems with the hamstring, which are the most injured muscles in football.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so Thomas test also for the rectus femoris. Even with some players, you can see how much they are, even on the modified Thomas test, they are raising the hip. That speak a lot about the hip flexor. So the only test that I will add from now on for sure is Jordan test from amazing specialist in hamstring injuries, Jordan Mediguccia. So this will be the test that I will add from now on with the football players. Even I was thinking to add it on a weekly basis after the match, just for the starting 11. But this is some other topic that we can discuss.
Yeah. So can you? I think this is quite a comprehensive part of range of motion testing, and this is something that yeah definitely should be there in your testing protocols. And when it comes to timing of using this kind of test, you mentioned preseason, but do you use it like some of the tests on daily basis? This test of range of motion, maybe.
Uh, Look, you, in my opinion, this is something that I have as an idea to use the Jordan test and the hip rotations after the match day on a match day plus two, just to follow the, let's say, stiffness of the players. Can you see me normally?
I can see
Can
the
you see me?
screen.
Yes.
I can see the screen, but your
I will stop
camera
sharing it
is,
for.
yeah,
Sorry, I don't know why.
that's
So
good.
yeah. Uh, Yeah, I want to implement that on a weekly basis with the starting 11 players, mostly to arrange at least for a, let's say, I collect 5 measurements so I can see how much they they get stiff after the game. So the medical
Yeah, makes
department,
sense.
physio knows, okay, I should focus with this player mostly on the internal hip rotation. With this player, I should focus mostly on hamstring relaxation techniques, or with the quads, or and each player is different. So some of them have problems with the hip rotation, some of them with the hip flexors. So everyone requires individual approach. So this is what I want, but I don't know if I can do it right now. You need to have a huge staff for that. It's not
Yes, that's it.
one guy cannot do that all, and this is the main, let's say, problem right now for me. So I have that in my mind. I want to do it, but I will see if I'm gonna add it now through the season or maybe from the next season. I need to think about that.
Yeah, it's always good to do a reflection like on a season and then to see maybe what is new to put. And this screening part, it's like you said, it's quite important, and we should do this like on a regular basis. And you also mentioned deep squat, and maybe we are coming now to the strength part of work in football teams. So, and this is quite interesting topic because there are a bunch of research right now. Should we do strength before session, after a session? Should we test isometric part, concentric part of the movement, or eccentric part of the movement? A lot of things are going out right now, especially in football. But if you check the literature, this is something that is quite normal and used in NFL, rugby, and this kind of teams for the last 10, 12 years. I remember the book from Carl Dietz and Basic Training and Christian Thibodeau. They were writing about this stuff like for quite some time. But yeah, when it comes to that, what is your opinion, of organizational strength training and testing this quality?
So, answer can be like 30 minutes, but I
Yeah,
will
it's a
try
good
to
one.
shorten it as
It's a
much as
good one,
possible.
but
W-
yeah,
we as a coaches or sports scientists or fitness coaches, doesn't matter, working in football, we need to understand that football is priority. Uh, it's not how much you squat, it's not how much you have on Nordic or adductor isometric test. So these are the things that are really really important. But from my opinion also, but at the end of the day, doing the strength training. So first, how what I saw at least until now, how the people, a lot of I saw a lot. Blogs, videos, even on social media, where the people are saying strength training after the gym and they're lifting 60 kgs or 80. So, is that a strength? I would not say. Maybe for a kid of 10 years or 12 years old. I don't know. I never work with the kids. But uh, first is, what is the strength of in your head, in your way of thinking, and in your approach. So for me, strength is over 85% of 1 RM. So usually this is heavy work. So this is not 80 kgs. I will show also the approach of strength training, my approach of strength training. And usually these are heavy weights. Like I had the players that are hip thrusting 220, that are doing the trap bar squat 200 kgs, 180. So, okay, after the hard session on the pitch, or If it's light session, then there is no problem. But if it's medium to hard intensity on the session, for me, but strength is useless after the session. So your brain need to be fresh for the strength training, so it can push your body, your muscles to activate more, so you can lift that weight. After that football session, I don't know. I never did it. I never did it on a team basis. So like pulling the whole team after to the gym. Also, I never had really that level of conditions for work. So you need to have a huge gym. You need to have a huge staff also that can control. You cannot pay attention if you have 3 or 4 exercises and you have like 3, 4 players working at the same time. You cannot pay attention to all of them at the same
Yeah,
time.
that's
So
hard. That's hard.
working strength. So talking about strength, power, yes, but strength is for me questionable from a lot of points. So uh, basically how I am doing this part, I will share now again the screen. Can you see it?
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
So let's go back on the testing. So just to finish this for the testing
Yeah,
pre-season,
please do.
yeah, I'm using this in pre-season. I used the Nordic eccentric test, hip isometric push from Alex Natera. What I added just now is hip thrust isometric, adductor, abductor, short, long lever, and adductor eccentric. 1 repetition maximum testing for 5 exercises, mid-thigh pull, counter movement jump, squat jump, single leg if needed, just in case I see immediately some huge differences and imbalances. Then I'm doing the single leg. RSI max speed. I don't know if you can see it. You
Yeah,
can
on the
see
right
all.
side.
Yeah, max speed and EFT 3015 from Martin Boucher. So this is the test that I use from the very beginning of my career. And yeah, pretty much that's it. Regarding the strength, at the beginning you mentioned the contractions. So I test all the contractions. I'm making the profile of the, sorry, I'm making the profile of the player. So for each player have this kind of report, what we should focus on, what we should work on through the season, where are the risks, individual programs are here. This is the pre-activation work or post-training work, these kind of things. Like uh, again, to go to now I'm running there and here. So these kind of things can be added. Like if you are looking at the Nordic curl exercise as a strength training, it is eccentric strength training if the players are doing it slowly, and it can be crazy intensive. For me, this is the most intensive exercise for the hamstring. If you are doing it 100%, if you are doing it 50%, then it's useless. If you start, I don't know if you can see me now, no?
Yeah, yeah.
You can
I
see
can see
me
you. I can see you
also.
good. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see the
so
programs. I
if
can see you.
if
So
if the player goes for the Nordic before or after the training, holding to here and then drop, this is useless. So the point of the Nordic is to hold on the long length of the muscle. So it's not a point to hold here. It's completely useless exercise. But if you think on this, like, okay, the strength training after the training, after the football training, doing the Nordic is eccentric strength. And yes, if you are doing it 100%, it is strength. So 3 reps can cause the muscle damage for the next 2 days. Just maximal 3 reps. So yeah, but to go back on the testing, 1 repetition maximum. I will go again here. Sorry. So I'm using the squat, deadlift, bench press, pull-ups, and military press. I don't have it here. I just I just see it now, but it doesn't matter. So these are the repetition maximum tests that I use. Usually, I use the estimation method. So it's up to 5 repetition. Then I am
okay,
collecting all
perfect.
the estimation formulas, and then taking the average from all these estimation formulas. So I have it, I think, five. I will lie now, 4 or 5. I'm not sure 100%. So I'm not looking just for one and I'm strict to one. I use just this method. No, I'm always open to try the new things, to challenge myself also. If
Yeah.
I made some mistakes in the job, in the work. So yeah, pretty much that's it. Then based on these tests, I'm programming this kind of program for the players. So the first one, the black one here, is the single training. So for me, this is the best approach. But for this what I already mentioned a couple of times, you need to have a huge staff.
A,
You need
a
to
lot
have
of people to organize
a lot
this.
of
Yeah.
people. Yes, you need to have a amazing facility. I mean, huge gym if you want to. So basically, this is the approach that I try to do, but it's impossible. This is the individual training session. So if I have the player that is more squat dominant than hinge dominant, if he's really poor in a hinge movements, so if I want to prepare for him just pulling training for the hamstring, for the glutes, then I can prepare this type of training for him, just for him. And what is his deficit? Is it strength? Is it power? Is it hypertrophy? Does he need a hypertrophy training? Yeah, you go on hypertrophy training. It's not the question why for me is 6 reps, why for me is 8 reps, why for me is 20 reps. You need hypertrophy training because your muscles are small, are weak, they cannot generate a lot of force, so you need to work on that. Then we're gonna progress after to the strength, to the power training, to the reactive strength, etc., etc. So this is the one way. Usually I'm doing this to the when the players requires from me, like, hey, can we do in the next week or in the next month lower body? Yes, of course. Let's do the retesting. Let's see where are you now. We will prepare the
Yeah.
program. You're gonna do the program on a weekly basis. The second option is the single exercise option. So to simplify, not everyone have the amazing gym. Not everyone have I don't know 6, 7 squat racks in a row. Uh, Me personally, I have two. So it's really
That's not
challenging to
bad.
organize, but it's not bad. Yeah, but it's challenging to
Yeah,
organize
that's it.
the
I know.
if
25
if the
players.
yes, if the gym is small. For instance, I cannot fit more than 10 players in the gym. So you need to
Yeah.
split them in the groups. You need to organize the exercises. Okay, where this exercise gonna be, where this exercise gonna be, how they gonna do this exercise. So this approach is again team but individualized. So here, as you can see, I will zoom it a bit. Can you see it?
Yeah, that's good. I can see the
So
percentages and everything.
yeah, yeah. Basically, I mean, this is what I'm doing most of the time, not always. When we have a power session, it's power for all. When we have an individual session or team but individual, let's call it like that. So this, how that can look like. If these players need strength, this is his. So he's coming to the same exercise as the
But doing
player two,
strength,
as the
yeah.
player three, but doing strength. Player two is doing power, for example.
Yeah.
And the third one is the pretty much the same like this one, just 6 or 8 exercise, depends how much I'm doing on a current training session. Also can be completely individualized. So, or can be the, like is on this example, for the full team, you are doing, I mean, all of you are doing power training session, but for everyone has his own weights. So it's not that this is also what I see very often. Like people are doing the strength training. I don't know.
Same
I mean,
kilograms for
yes,
everybody and
this
this kind
is
of things. Yeah.
this is for me. This is something unacceptable, to be honest. I mean, with the respect to everyone, but then I mean, you have the player that is 2 meters tall, that is almost 100 kgs, 92, 93. He's a bull. He's like really strong player. He's machine. And you have the player who is, I don't know, 70 kgs, 60, 70 kgs. For them, 80 kgs is complete difference.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I try always to individualize as much as I can and everything I can. There are the things that you cannot, but everything I can, I try to individualize them to adapt to each player. So pretty much that's the way of approaching the strength training. To go back on a testing, so from isometrics, I just started now. Last season I did a Nordic hamstring, Nordic curl test, and for me it shows good. And I did it for the purpose of hamstring, not strength monitoring, more fatigue monitoring. I was
Yeah, that's a good point.
always on the test with the players. So when I see them they are not giving 100%, repeat max up to three reps, max. But if I see them first rep they didn't give their max, then I tell them, look, we're not gonna do like this. You're gonna go back. You're gonna give your max, because if I notice something, maybe you will be a bit out of the training sessions, a bit out of the drills. We'll compensate the load for you. Usually we did it on a match day -4 when we target the mechanical load. So to have everything clarified and prepared for the next day, when we have high speed running emphasized, live-sided games where they have even sprints. So just to have it, it shows good. But what I faced the players are like sick of it. They again Nordics, and when I
Yeah,
see them,
it's
when I
not
see
easy,
them like
well,
this is,
for them to do. Yeah, it's hard. Well,
yeah,
it's how do you say
it's
it?
hard. It's also the mental, I don't
Uncomfortable.
want
Yeah,
to, yeah, I don't want to create them mental block. So when they're doing something, they really need to do it. These kind of tests when we are using for the weekly monitoring, they need to do it with max effort. So it's not just come there, drop, and then we're gonna analyze the data. So now I changed the approach. I'm using the isometric push from Natera. And for now on, players accept it really good. I explained to them. I mean, at the end, physiologically is less demanding
yeah.
isometric test than eccentric test. So maybe it requires a bit more time because you're going single leg unilateral. But if you put that as an exercise, then it's not a problem. Until the player is doing the trap bar squat or back squat, or doesn't matter which other exercise, uh, 2 or 3 players are doing this test. So they have the pre not pre-activation,
Activation.
but like yeah, they have like 2 sets of isometric hold with the change. So 2 seconds one leg, then change the leg. 2 seconds one leg, 4, 5, 6 times, depends on the exercise and the load that I give to them. And then before they come to the max isometric test, I always give them 1 rep of 80%, 1 rep of 90%, and then they're going of
Then
2 repetition
maximum.
of maximum isometric test. So now I just added the hip thrust isometric test, and I will try to clarify why.
Also, also on the force plates.
Yes, also on the force
Yeah,
plates. So basically, it's a squat rack with the I don't know now exactly. It's not the J cups. It's this long one.
yeah, I
What we
know.
usually put like arms, but it's not arms. I don't know exactly the name of this.
I know what you
It's
mean.
attachment where
Yeah,
you put the bar. So I just twist it opposite, and I put the bar below where is the flat surface, and I set the length for the players, and they just push maximal. So the the why I decided to change for a hip thrust except of mid-thigh pull. To be honest, I didn't use mid-thigh pull for a weekly monitoring. Why? Um, Mid-thigh pull, at least in my experience and opinion, can be dangerous in team sport like football is. So where the our players are our athletes are not powerlifters, so their main job is not to lift the weight. So this is just additional and extra that will help them. And mid-thigh pull can be dangerous when we talk about low back spine. If the player is not 100%, not 90%, 100% focused on a test, being in the test with the head there, thinking about the movement, they can get the injury like this, easy in the spine. I mean, injury that it's not muscle injury, it's not something that, but it can cause the problems on a long term. And I don't want to do that. So at the end, also the hip thrust, what I mean, found, what I think, to be honest, is that is physiologically zero demanding. So it's a glutes, the muscle that can produce the highest force after the
Yeah.
mandibular muscle. So it's isometric contraction. You basically you cannot have any problems with this test. And this is the reason why I decided to try now to monitor the hip thrust through the in season to see what kind of results this test will give to me. So look, I will be again honest. I mean, now if some of the players will listen this, they will say you. But
let's do it. Come on, you can say it.
I mean, our job is like this. You must do the kind of experiments with your players all the time. Otherwise, you don't know how they will react on that. So if I'm not measuring everything, I'm the guy who have 50% coaching, 50% sports science. So looking also from the coaching standpoint, but taking a lot of data in consideration. So if I cannot measure if I cannot measure what we did, how do I know that if that have any improvement, or maybe it was bad? Maybe it was bad and we need to change something. We need to do something different, you know? So this is the reason why I'm using a lot of tests and always having something on my mind, like, hey, can I add, like I have now this for range of motion. Hey, can I add this to see what the outcome will be? If it's bad, it's bad. I remove it. I'm not going to do it anymore. If it's good, I will continue to do it because I mean, my players will have benefits from it. So yeah, power tests like standard tests, counter movement jump, squat jump, and drop jump on the force plates. I mean, for the coaches that can afford them, for the clubs also that they have them, it's amazing tool to have it in the box.
Yeah, I can agree, definitely.
But I mean, contact mats, these phone applications, all of that is good, but this is something that can give you insights, like deep insights, what's going on behind the counter movement jump, what's going on behind the squat jump, RSI, isometric tests, and everything. So it's not the same when you test the player on force sensor or on a force plates or on a contact mats or on a force plate. So it's a huge difference. So you can see, for example, on a counter movement jump, if the player produced the highest force in a first range of movement when he starts concentric contraction, or in the last.
Yeah, in the unweighted phase.
Yeah, in the contact mats you cannot see that. So these are the things that all of this that we need to take all into the consideration. Of course, all the devices in sports science have some errors, have some problems with the data. So it's important to understand, to read the data, to understand how the device is working. If there is any problem with the device, so you know how you can handle the data, how to clear the data, how to analyze the data, what statistical approach to use, maybe some machine learning. You know, all these things are really important when we talk about sports science. And at the end, the intermittent fitness test 30-15 and max speed test, usually I'm using it as a race 1v1. And because this is the way you're going to get, definitely, this is the way you're going to get the max effort from the players. You just need to have some let's say you came to the club, you're not going to jump immediately to the, if you came to the club and you have the GPS system, you can pull all the data from the GPS system, see the maximum velocity of each player, and just first against second, third versus fourth, fifth versus sixth, and then you can get, you cannot put first against 10 player in the team. So then you put closest to each other with the velocities. They do, and after that, one test with the cameras. I used before out this kilogram method for the running analysis, and now I think I will move to the SMAS score, and we'll see what I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty much that's it from the testing.
SMAS is something that is quite interesting. I read a lot about that, of course, because it's easy to implement them. But I would like to go back a little bit to the hip thrust iso part and maybe jumps, and when it comes to this isometric part of testing, have you noticed some differences between mid-thigh pull and hip isometric test, like the force values, or what kind of variables do you check, like torque? Is it max force values?
So
Is
yeah,
it the explosive part of the contraction, or you like to go like gradually increasing the power, or not the power, the force? How well when you check on it, how do you go into more details? When you go into more details, how do you check that?
so yeah, so rate of force development is definitely the number one thing. But at the same time, we need to take into, I mean, mostly I am based on a peak force, mostly, but peak force, then taking from the peak force relative force divided by the body weight of the player, and taking the allometric scaling, for example, for the Nordics, for the adductors, so the length of the shin or the length of the whole leg. This is something that really makes the difference. Again, the player with the shorter legs will produce probably most often higher force in adductor squeeze test than the player with the longer legs. So you need to take, I mean, most of the cases. I had a player that was not so good in any other test, but in adductors he was crazy strong, crazy, crazy, crazy strong. Like some basically doubled values than the other players. So which can tell me something about producing the force on a short level or on a long level. Uh, I mean, everything is individualized. So the norms that I'm using are created by myself and from some research paper. I think also Professor Marković from Croatia, Professor Goran Marković have some norms for the Nordics,
Devices, yeah,
especially.
he have the I think the name is, it's not the force frame, but yeah, he have the device, like it's a flexible, you can test
Yeah, yeah.
Nordics, you can test adductors and everything else. So I
No,
used a
no, no,
lot
but
of, yeah,
he was the first
sorry.
one. I mean, first one, not the very first, but he was also mentioning before this importance of allometric scaling. So taking the length of the leg
The
and the
limbs,
body
yeah,
weight.
to get the relative
Yes,
values, because it's not the same.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, this
So
is important. I use a lot the Vault technology in this, like their Nordic force frame, force plates, and it showed like for me quite amazing, especially the force plates. It can give me a lot of info, and I like to use it in a training session, like you said. Let's do 2 jumps, then let's go to the squat, then let's do some adductors, and you can go outside to the pitch.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like
This called invisible monitoring. So
yeah,
basically, you can do the kind of a test every single day.
that's it. Player doesn't even need to know, like it's testing, like it depends how we communicate about it. Like you said, uh, we are experimenting on the players, but I think if you just tell them, I'm trying to find the best way how to help you, then
Yeah, I mean, this
maybe
is
he will think
something
about
that,
it. And this is what we try to do. We try to find the best possible ways how to get the best out of you, how to test you properly with the best tools and get the best results. This is the main point.
yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned now a few times monitoring, and I know again that you like this topic, especially the GPS monitoring, RPs, everything. So you have the whole system around your team. And how does this system and circle of monitoring looks in your club and in your environment? You know, what you track, what kind of data, what you make from that data, and so on.
Yeah, we are already 1 hour, 5 minutes, six now. Uh,
That's good. Don't worry, man. I think it's a great episode because we give a lot of concrete information and details, and I think that the people will really enjoy it. So we will keep we will keep talking.
yeah, okay. So regarding the monitoring system, what I mean, basically every club have it is a GPS. What we are using here is wellness monitoring, subjective questions for the players, where I involved 5 questions: sleep quality, mood, stress, fatigue, and soreness. Also, for me personally, the most important part of this wellness thing is the body chart area, where they have the option to put from scale 1 to 10, soreness area, sore area,
Hmm.
sorry, and painful area. So
Pain
for
areas,
me,
yeah.
it's also really important to understand when players put soreness, when they put pain. So just to clarify, pain, it's a sign that maybe we will think to make some compensation training for him, or soreness is something different. That's when you are making some kind of reactions. This is what we discussed before from the with the medical staff. Okay, this player came now this morning. Usually, when you see some player that is not feeling the wellness every day without
Yeah.
reminding him, for sure he has some soreness. So if I load the data and I see, but this player, for sure something is happening, let me check the sore or painful area. So this is the most important part for me from the wellness data. And what we are using here the creatine kinase device. So we are measuring the blood, capillary blood, usually 2 times a week. If we see, we are measuring on a match day +2 and match day -2, time where we have still in between to make some reaction, to make some action for the player. If we notice, so what I made the system in monitoring system in Power BI, where we are following on a match day tag the CK values. So if the player goes average and 1 standard deviation on that
About that,
current
yeah.
match day, yes, then it's time to react. So, or we retest we repeat the measure again. If the measure is still high, then definitely, if it's too high, if it's 2 standard deviations,
So
recovery.
you have the baseline for the creatine kinase for every player. Like
Yes,
it's
yes.
not just
Sorry,
taking the measure and when you see something, because
no, no.
this is something that it's quite well, it's not quite often, but it was one of the methods in Croatia that people are using. And when they see just something is high, they're immediately moving a player,
No,
away from
no,
that.
no,
But
no, no.
if you don't know his baseline and what is normal for him, then maybe it's not the best option.
For me, with all respect, this is completely wrong approach. So why? I
Yeah.
will give you just one example now. Here, Africans usually have higher CK. Is that because of fast muscle fibers? Is that because of slower recovery? I don't know exactly. I didn't went so far with the research, but maybe I will in future. I think I will. What's the reason? Is that private life? Is that they cannot sleep after the game, adrenaline, all these things you need to take into consideration. But what is the most important? You need to look it on an individual level. If you are looking like, okay, if it's 700, then he is out. For someone, 700 is low, at least in my case. For someone, 700 is
Yeah,
low,
that's
but
it.
for someone, 400 is too high. So it's completely individual. You need some time to collect all this data, like 1.5 months, so you can start to have some ranges where the player can be or should be. Also, it's important to monitor if the player during the session, training session, or the game get any kick or some, how they call it, dead muscle, dead leg, from the medical staff, even players. So this is the what increased the CK a lot. Also, it's useful to watch, to follow the CK during the rehab. Sorry. Yeah, pretty much that's it. I mean, individually, completely individual. Then we are moving to the GPSs. So before we are moving to the GPSs, you had their heart rate, RP. I'm not using RP anymore. I use it before
Yeah,
a lot when
you stopped.
when I didn't have the GPSs and all this stuff that I'm using right now. Uh, RP is amazing. For me, definitely, maybe in the top three. But
Yeah, it's good.
yes, but imagine this: wellness, CK,
Yeah, I know.
GPSs,
You need to filtrate.
this,
You need to
that.
check what is the
You
best,
know,
maybe.
you need to also treat like your players like players, like a human beings, not like hey, what is the number for this? So how important is, yeah, RP is important without a doubt, but if I have the GPS, if I have the CK, if I have the wellness from that day, do I really need the RP? I mean, I need it. I would like to collect it, but I don't want to kill them with all these things. And it can be the mentally annoying, they're like, hey, now again, this. Imagine testing during the week, at the beginning of the week, at the end of the week, during the week,
Yeah,
everyday
it's gonna be a
wellness.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's we also need to. I'm the guy who is guiding and leading by the approach. Without the data, you're just one more guy with an opinion. But at the same time, I'm also trying to, a lot of times, like, hey, okay, Alexa, stay in the line, don't go too much. Stay with this, keep that, try to pull all the information, try different statistical approaches with this, see what fits, and then you're gonna decide if you're gonna move forward
Make
with
a
some other measurements or not.
decision according to that. Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I really, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I really like the part, how we say, you are filtrating all the time, so sometimes you use RP, sometimes not. You find something new, so you start to do with that. I think this is the main part of the role of the strength conditioning coach, not just to be passive spectator or just looking around. You need to constantly trying to find new solutions. But let's get back a little bit to the GPS data, and I know that you have a good insights here. And when it comes to that, how do you detect? And this is something that is quite again popular in questions in football and in literature. Uh, when it comes to detect what is hard, easy, medium training session, or when we are talking about volume and intensity, what is volume and intensity for you? Because when you read a lot of books, you can see that people are mentioning increase in intensity, drop the volume down. Yeah, but what is the measure of volume and what is the measure of, intensity? Which variable should I increase or decrease? I don't know. Do you get me? So how
Yeah.
do how do you how do you explain this to yourself?
So what I got a lot of these kind of questions, like how you are you looking on a team basis, or when I talk with someone, with some colleagues, when they say, hey, we plan, I don't know, 200 kilometers to run this week for the whole team, for the whole team. Why? What's the reason? I mean, I really don't understand these kind of things. For me, I'm trying again to individualize everything I can. GPSs are something that we can individualize easily without any
Yeah,
problems. The thing is
that's it. Yeah.
how you're gonna adapt that to the training session. That's the hard part.
This is the
So
tricky part. Yeah.
yes, this is adapting the numbers is not heavy. It's like, I mean, easy task. But how you gonna adapt that to the training session? Is that player gonna do, I don't know, 3 minutes except of four, or is he gonna do some extra, or after the training, during the training? So this is the part what we need to think. So regarding the GPSs, my daily report consists usually around 12 to 15 pages, depends. So now, I mean, someone will say that's a lot. It is a lot, but it's not like generic reports from any GPS provider. Like, I don't know, they put on one page high-speed runs, just huge graph, and that's it. Then you have 10 or 15
How
pages
much you
with
run and these kind of things.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. This is something that for me it's just a basic. So the main things that I'm using, um, adapting the volume based on the player maximum from the games that he played
From the
over
games.
80
Yeah.
minutes. So over 80 minutes when he played the game, I'm taking that best value for each variable, usually 6 variables: total distance, high speed running, sprint distance, accelerations, decelerations, and player load, which is highly correlated with the total distance. And I'm even thinking to put the player load out. I mean, I will not, but I was thinking to put it out because it's highly correlated with total distance. Then from all these
Yeah.
variables, I'm taking the best from the player. So maybe someone will disagree now with this approach, but this is the way how I do it. Uh, some player will reach the total distance on a game one. Same player will reach the high speed running on a game five. So I'm taking the best value, not from a single game, because it's dependable on the opponent. Was the game transition game? Did the opponent put himself back?
Yeah.
Try
About the
to defend
context
whole
of
game.
football and
Yes.
everything else. Yeah.
So yeah, you cannot just take from one game everything. Then for each variable, then compare volume I mean, call it as a volume of the training. Compare each variable from the training data to the match data. What I'm using more paying attention a lot is the standard deviation and average. Again, one standard deviation over the match day tag. Again, you need couple of weeks of the data to have it, so you can see if the player had overload on that training session or not. Also, putting the KPIs as a percentage volume or intensity from 0 to 40, from 40 to 60, from 60 to 80, from 80 to
How
100.
much of the game was it? Yeah.
Yes. This is like volume. Then when it comes to the intensity, as we discussed on the LinkedIn, the amazing conference from the FSI and the Fabio Nakamura presentation, and the other guy, I forgot the
Chris
name.
Barnes.
Yeah, two amazing presentation that I was doing something like that, but not such deep as I'm trying now to do. Taking the most demanding periods of 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do now is taking the most demanding periods of 3 minutes, taking 5 best in the game, and taking the average of these 5 best. Why I decided for that? It's pretty much similar, like worst case scenario, but I decided for that because you can have the situation where the players just get crazy, and he started to run to chase the ball all over the pitch. I mean, this you cannot control. This is something that,
Normal
and what?
situation from the game. Yeah.
Yes,
Sometimes.
and yeah, sometimes this knows to happen. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pull this data like a single value where he had, I don't know, uh,
Everything highest.
yes,
Something
like
like this. Yeah.
to go now to don't go now through the numbers exactly, but then I decided to take 5 or 3 or 5. I think I took. Yeah, 5. I took as an average. And then this is the intensity. This is something that I consider as an intensity of the drill. So I made a kind of, the distance per minute, high speed running per minute, sprint per minute. This is also kind of intensity, but
Yeah,
this
but it's not
most
telling.
demanding.
Yeah, maybe sometimes this high speed running, I was also checking a lot of these variables. Maybe are not telling the whole, like you said, it's not the whole context around it. Maybe we need to connect, find timing windows like MDPs, like you said. And what do you think about this combination of variables, like Chris Barnes proposed, where you have like metabolic part and oxidative part, let's call it like this, and then these variables are going in this section, these variables are going in this section, and then they are telling the part of the story that is like more, um, let's say, more grouped, or maybe more precise, or maybe more wrong. I don't know.
No, for me, this is amazing approach, but at the
Yeah,
same time, we need to ensure that
I like it also. Yeah.
the data are reliable and valid. So we need to ensure that the heart rate is working, perfectly, that the GPS had a really, really good signal at the time when we were doing this, because stadiums can affect the GPS signals a lot. If there is a lot of iron or steel, I don't know how it's on English, on the stadium, the GPS
Yeah,
signal
I know
can
what you
know to
mean.
be
I
to
had these
make a lot of.
problems on stadiums.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is also something that we need to consider and to take into account when we are making this kind of decision. But for me, this is an amazing approach, and I would like to move forward with the more people regarding these kind of things, because these kind of things are not defined in our job yet. So I'm trying to define something, I'm trying to make something, to create something from that, and I think I'm on a good way. So to finish this, how I do it is I'm taking what I want to do now. I'm doing it, but not still fully developed. When I have the drill from 3 minutes, I want my system automatically to recognize and to pull the data just from the 3 minutes most demanding periods. So this is something what I want to do to go through. Sorry. So
Yeah,
this is
I
the and
I
4 minutes
agree.
drill, 4 minutes period. So not taking
Yeah.
the because usually the shortest periods are the highest in the values. 3 minutes is the, let's say, most intensive period. Not taking 1 minute. I didn't took 1 and 2 minutes. So the smallest one is 3 minutes, and then from 3 minutes I'm going and guiding with the intensity on the specific training drill for each player. So it's not I'm taking the like high speed running on a team basis and then analyzing the drill for the whole team. No, I'm
No,
taking
for
the
individual. Yeah,
on the yeah individual level,
for the
because for
individual.
the
Yeah, I
central
think that
defender, high speed is I don't know now
500,
exactly the
600
numbers. I
meters.
can I can look, but
Yeah.
I had a player that had over 1,200 high speed. So you need also to take all these kind of things into the consideration. So yeah,
Well, as you said that you would like to find people who are connected with this and who like to check. We are now trying to do with two universities like research. Maybe it's something that is interesting for you. We took these few different aspects, uh, and we still, well, we are not comparing this with reels. This is something that you mentioned. We would like to do that, but we took these MDPs. We will check games. We used Chris Barnes' ideas and create these three groups. We use the player profile, like from Martin Boucher, the endurance guy, speed guy, and hybrid guy. So
yeah.
we divide the groups, compare how these groups will react on MDPs during the games, and the team from our universities will try to detect how much MDPs are like important or how much are valid, so they will try to find some mathematical way. I don't know how they will try to do it. And then we will try also to compare this with training sessions, like you said. So we will try to use 4 or 5 different ways and from Fabio, and we will try to put it in one. I discussed something about that with Fabio, and he was also like interested. And maybe this is something that is interesting also for you.
Yeah,
Maybe we can do something
always.
like this. Well, with us is the thing we have. I can say solid ideas. We have equipment. We have universities who like to do the data analysis and everything. Sometimes we are missing the data from clubs. You know that I am not anymore in clubs, so now this is my problem. So I cannot take any data, but we invite clubs and people who want to participate in these kind of things. Maybe they
Yeah,
can join. Also, if you are something for that, I
I'm
think it's a
always
great
interested
topic.
for.
Yeah, it's a great
I'm,
topic, and it's something that is not tested right now. Not that well, we have some research in that direction, but the research didn't compare the training sessions with games and with your approach, like 4 minute period in training with 4 minute period in game. So this can be a great direction where we can go.
yeah, I'm always interested for these kind of things. Everything that can help to our community, to the younger colleagues, to any of the colleagues, even the older. I am for that. I mean, as you can see, as you know already, on my LinkedIn, there is a lot of,
Yeah,
I would say, useful informations
yeah,
that
definitely.
that the coaches can pick up, that the sports scientists can pick up, and I'm not afraid to share it because I'm
That's good. Yeah.
always like trying to implement something new, trying to add something new to see how this works, how that works, and I'm for that to share. I mean, knowing something for myself without sharing it with others is useless.
Yeah, and it depends still when you share this, how someone will gonna use it in their surroundings. So I also don't see a problem about sharing ideas and so on. So it's good. It's good for everyone. And we will definitely talk about this after the episode, maybe to see how we can combine these two things.
Yeah.
But not to take too much of your time. I know that you are a busy guy and that you are waking up at 5 a.m. So let's go to the last question. I think it's also interesting. It's a game day uh, organization, priming, compensation session, everything that it comes to game day, nutrition, food, activation, yes, no, warm-ups, these kind of things. And during these episodes, I heard a lot of different opinions. Some of the coaches are doing priming, some of the coaches are not doing nothing, some of the coaches are doing re-warm ups, some of them don't like it too much, but they are still doing an amazing job. So there are different opinions. And how do you do this game day organization?
So, game day, when it comes to the game day, I mean, for me, when the game starts, I was checking one time, my heart rate was so low. I was like so relaxed. When the game comes, I'm really, really relaxed. But during the week, I am stressed a lot to have all the things done and everything to be, I would not say perfect, but close to perfect. And when the game day comes, we have the morning activation session in the gym, so we are not going outside. I'm doing these kind of things for a long, long period of time. Usually in the gym, what we are doing, uh, I prepare them usually 6, 7 exercises, short dynamic warm up of 3, 4 minutes. Then after that, they are going to let's say training. That is 10 to 15 minutes. So it's not more than that. What that consists, what is the approach to that training? So I'm doing the counter movement jump always on a match day. Why?
Okay, that's okay.
Two reasons. First reason is that basically all the players are fresh, let's say fresh, they should be fresh on a match day. The players that will start or that will be on the bench, they are fresh on a match day. So no one can be loaded anymore. So if some of the players is loaded on a match day -3 more than the other, I mean, I'm not looking the team values, but will the counter movement job be the same for them on a match day -2? I would not say that it will be the
Yeah.
same. You can look at the data same for the player one or for the player two. If the player one was more loaded than the player two on the day before. So yeah, to get this shorter, we are doing the counter movement jump. This is the first reason. The second reason is they always compete. I mean, they compete. First, they compete with themselves. This is the I'm always trying to 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 have this hope, to have this let's go, give your best, to have this intention to them,
To
so
keep the
they give.
competition up. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So we are doing the 2 reps. Usually the exercises, other exercises are short. I mean, are sorry, not short. I mean, short in duration anyway, but low number of repetitions, 5 to 6 repetitions. If it's unilateral, it's some kind of a, let's say, sprint mechanics also drills that are short, that are not requiring a lot of energy, but the brain and the central nervous system will work high. Also, what I get from the players as a feedback is that even they go to sleep after that. When they awake, they are fresh. They are not like, when they awake after 3 hours of sleep, they come there before the match and they don't know where is left, where is right. I think this I didn't measure it. I cannot measure it, at least not right now, to measure the CNS activity. But I really believe that this has huge impact of keeping them awake full day. So not coming on the match day like, I want to sleep, I'm dead from the sleeping and this stuff. This is the thing regarding the pre-match activation. I'm never going outside because outside it requires warm up of at least 5 to 10 minutes. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
want to
it.
keep them. Depends. What if it's rain? If the pitch is heavy, someone can get the injury, or it doesn't need necessarily to get the injury. It can be the discomfort or mental, like, to be tough to them mentally, to go, look, it's rainy outside. No, this is the reason why I decided this part to be done in the gym. And yeah, that's it. Usually 20-30 minutes pre-activation before the match, before they go to the pitch warm-up, and just a short mobility activation and some activation exercise just to get the muscles prepared, especially if the pitch is tough. Depends. So usually I'm not changing the match day warm up, the activation prior to the warm up a lot, because I don't like to change
Change
the
too much on the game
routines
day. Yeah.
on especially this before the match, straight
Yeah.
before the match. This is pretty much the same. And the last thing regarding remind me please, the
The re-warm up
compensation training.
and
Uh,
compensation training session. Yeah, this is
Re-warm
again
up,
one of the
uh,
topics that are popular.
yeah, re-warm up the only when it's too cold outside. Only when it's too cold outside. I mean, re-warm up. What is re-warm up? Staying in the dressing room and doing the re-warm up, or going on the pitch and doing just 2-3 times some skipping variations and accelerations? I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, both, let's say. Yeah, some
No,
part of like activation before the second half, let's call it like this.
if it's too cold outside, yes, on the pitch. Just, I mean, they go out, they can do some skipping variations, couple of accelerations. I always tell them change of direction a bit there, but this is not something, for example, now, no. In the gym, in the dressing room, no.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine you have the tough
Yeah, I know.
game, players are discussing, and what I'm gonna jump into them and say, hey guys, let's do the warm-ups. I think they will throw the water to me or something they
Yeah,
found
yeah,
close to
yeah.
them. So
Especially in the locker room. So this is maybe not the best option.
no,
Yeah.
for me, definitely no. For me, definitely no. I mean, I don't see because they finish the first half, they walk to the dressing room. Usually they go to the shower, not to the shower, to the toilet. They move, they take the water, they explain to each other. They're not
Yeah, it's
lying in
not
the
too
bed.
much
So
time and they are
yes,
moving all the time. Yeah, so
they're
it's their day.
yeah, they're sitting like 5, 6 minutes until the head coach is explaining something to them. Maybe if someone needs some, I don't know, short massage from the physio or whatever. So that they are not, so 15 minutes is a half time. They're not lying 15 minutes in minus 20 degrees. So we need to do the reactivation exercises and this stuff. I'm not looking at these things like that. So yeah, I think this is
This
the
is the match day.
my answer. Yeah, and I mean match day. I'm trying to don't. I mean, look,
Overcomplicated that day or
yes,
something.
the my approach working with the player is so simple. I think this is one of the best things that I am offering to them. So I always joke with them. They always joke with me. I have 25 players. I really love them. It's not like I have the jokes with every player different. So with some I have some stupid jokes. With some I have some more intelligent jokes. With some I don't have jokes at all. There are the players that are strict, but at the end they can make a fun of me how much they want. To be
Yeah.
honest, I don't care
But you need to be
about
also
that.
that kind of a guy to know
Yeah,
with
but
who you can.
when there is a simple thing. When we start the training, no joking from my side, no joking from their side. Only is acceptable when we are doing the recovery, mobility drills, and this when they start,
When they
making the
are all
fun of
relaxed and
them. So
it's fun
yes, yes.
atmosphere. Yeah.
In that case, yes. When we are doing the strength training, I mean, I'm clear with that. I told them a lot of times, joke, you're out of the gym directly, no talking. There is no talk because, in the gym, at least in my
Not talking in the
way
gym.
of work, no, not talking, not joking. So I don't want you to, joking is allowed, but not in a way that, get you out of the focus of the training session.
Of the gym. Yeah.
So joking for a 2, 3 seconds, there is no problem. But joking for a 5 minutes, there is a problem. Because usually when I'm doing the gym sessions, is most of the time with the weights, even with the flywheel, I mean, flywheel is more dangerous than a weight machine. When the machine pull you strong, if you're not focused 100%,
Yeah, it
if your
can
legs
pull
are
you
not on the
pretty
machine,
hard. Yeah.
yes. So this is pretty much the approach. And when the game day comes, I let them, even during this pre-match activation, to talk, to get themselves for the game ready, doing the exercise. But I'm not strict like, hey, now 10 reps, now 6 reps, now 8. No, do it, try to do 8 reps, try to do 6 reps, talk to each other, get the connection for the game, go on the pitch and try to
More
destroy the opponent.
relaxed.
And yes, yes.
Yeah, well, what can I see from this talk is that you managed to like organize everything and you know what you're doing in every aspect of strength, communication, testing, monitoring, game days. So you know what you want, and I think this is the important and amazing. And I think this was, well, I don't think, I know this was the last question and the last part here. So I really enjoyed the whole talk, and I think that the people who will listen to this episode will also enjoy it. It's like 2 hours of pure strength conditioning in football. So I think it's great. And just to wrap all the things up, are there well, so some questions just for you. Are there any upcoming projects with you? And if people would like to contact you, where they can find you. You know, is it on LinkedIn, Instagram, mail? So can you tell us where we can find you?
Yeah, so people can find me in on the LinkedIn mostly. So I'm the active, really active there. Instagram, Facebook, and this other social media, not so much. Even now called X Twitter. I'm not so active there. So LinkedIn is the right place. And sorry, what was the first question?
I can see, man, that you are going to sleep. Like
Is
not
the
right
time?
now, but
I'm
I
done.
know that you are waking up so early, like 5 a.m. So, well, the question was, um, do you have any upcoming projects or something that is in your mind? I know that we discussed about few, maybe text or something that we will do together here, so this can
You
be
yes, yes,
quite
yes, yes,
good.
yes. The way how I think also is if I'm doing now this job here, like performance coach, head of performance, sports scientist, uh, I'm really 100% in this. The moment when I decide to leave the club or the club decide to don't keep me anymore, then I'm gonna search and work for the other projects. I mean, I have a lot of offers, options, being in the different projects, also what we talked. There is a lot of things, but I have a feeling that I cannot give to you enough, not only to you, to everyone that came with some project ideas because
Yeah,
of this job.
100%.
Because this job for me right now is priority, and I'm not sure I can have the balance with all of it. With this job here, with the family, with the projects there, it's tough when you I don't know, maybe in Premier League will not be so tough, but right now here for me is really, really tough to focus on anything outside of the current job. So
Yeah.
yeah, from the summer, I don't know, we will see. But right now, I'm focused here and 100%. I put all
In the
possible
club work.
focus to
That's it.
this one. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I wish you all the best with the club
yeah,
and with the league. I know that you are standing quite good on the table.
yeah.
I
We're
know it
okay.
was
Yeah.
a difficult situation before, but now it's quite good. You are doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
Let's stay in touch. Let's discuss again. Say hello to the coach, to Željko, and everybody there. And I wish all the best to you and your family. And thank you one more time for your time. And I will say it again, I really enjoyed the whole talk and to hear again this. Well, people just to mention, this is something that Alex and I usually do like before a few years, like on a weekly basis. You remember when we just call each other
Yeah,
and talk for two
yeah.
hours about different things? This was a normal thing, but we now wanted to do it. We wanted to do it like more official so that all of you can enjoy in this.
Yeah.
So Alexa, thank you one more time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Marco, and hope the listeners will enjoy this podcast. Again, if anyone have something to ask regarding the talk, they can get in touch with me on LinkedIn. So I'm open for any discussion, for any new ideas, to share the ideas, to share the way of work, and yeah, to get the best from all of us.
Perfect. So everybody else who are listening this, check the podcast episode, check the other podcast episode because we have 10 plus, I think, different coaches who are talking about these topics. You can find more interesting things on Ultrax YouTube channel and blogs. So keep following, keep listening, and see you next time.